And welcome to Your Vote Counts. To all our viewers, to Leader Preiffer, Leader Munson, good to have you both.
Thanks for having us.
All right, there's no bigger vacuum of news than 2 hours after the legislature leaves after a signee died. All right, everybody scatters. Legislature scatters, press scatters, and then, a week goes by before we figure out what just happened. So since we last met, let's talk about what we have discovered happened when sine die happened.
Yeah, so the legislature has adjourned sine die. Our regular session is now over, but we are in a special session. We've been in special session now for a couple weeks, and we'll continue at least until the end of the month addressing our state's budget, which is the most important and the #1 duty we have as a legislature is to pass a balanced budget and to ensure that our services in state government are funded. House Democrats had great concerns about the budget, mainly because it took this long to get to this place because Republican leaders were too focused on funding private school tax credits as opposed to getting to a place where we know doing what it is that we need to do, which is to fund public services that all people have access to.
I read that somewhere. Now, you've had a week and a half to look back at what happened at the end of the session. It's like the finish of a NASCAR race. Your thoughts about what happened?
Yeah, what we saw happen is a really good end to session. The old saying, you never want to see how laws and sausages were made. The getting there, the process at this point was a little messy and a little controversial. And doing hard things often takes time and discussion to do it. But the end result is a very positive impact for the state of Oklahoma. We funded all students. We've put more money into public education. Under Republican leadership and Speaker Charles McCall, we've put more money into public education than they did the previous 25 years combined. So what we've seen is a massive investment into all forms of education in the state of Oklahoma.
I read that somewhere as well. Now, what I also noted from your remarks, Leader, is that there are some things left to be done. So let's talk about the to-do list, Leader Preiffer. What is on that list?
Sure. Some of the things we were able to get done, we were able to end the marriage penalty and end the franchise tax, which is long outdated. But what we still have to get done is tax relief and cutting the personal income tax to everyday Oklahomans. Our constituents are dealing with raising inflation costs because of bad policies out of Washington, D.C., and we have to be able to cut state taxes and cut the taxes that we need to give them relief from this inflationary cycle we see. We haven't been able to do that yet. We haven't been able to reach across the rotunda and come up with an agreement of the Senate, but we have to do that. We have to cut taxes in the state of Oklahoma.
That sounds like Republicans not agreeing with Republicans. And as the Democrat leader in the House, what do you think?
Yeah, so here's the deal, and here's what has been super frustrating this legislative session is you have a lot of infighting within the Republican Party. They have a super majority. They are in control of both the House and the Senate and the governor's mansion, yet they can't agree on things that we know that they value. And so what we think is most important, one, no tax cuts. We are not in a place where we should be cutting taxes. We are in a place where we should be reinvesting in government, especially because of all the cuts we have seen prior to my time being in the legislature 8 years ago. We can still give teachers a higher pay raise and get more money into our public education system, especially with us overcoming the global pandemic with COVID-19.
Okay, to quote Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. Now, in our next segment, troops to the border. Not the Texas border between Oklahoma and Texas, but farther south. We'll tell you when we come back. And welcome back. Now, the state Supreme Court has been very active, and in Oklahoma, it's really hard to find written or broadcast legal analysis. We're not Washington or New York, those sorts of places. So, a lot of people are asking the question after what the Supreme Court has done on these abortion rulings, and we have lots and lots of laws on abortion. What is the status in Oklahoma? Your thoughts?
Sure. Our legal staff at the House of Representatives is currently reviewing the opinions and figuring out how these two opinions that came down this week interact and affect the law. What I do know is it makes it more difficult when the court has no clear direction and issues almost contradictory opinions when they strike down these laws. So all I know is, as Republicans in the House of Representatives, we're going to continue to push to be a pro-life state. I'm sure you're going to see this issue come up again as we continue to fight for the lives of the unborn.
Okay, so as you say, there's contradictory. There's not a lot of legal analysis. What do Democrats think?
Yeah, I was quite pleased to see what the Supreme Court had to say about these two bills. Throughout the legislative process in 2022, House Democrats continually asked about the constitutionality of these two bills. Our concern has been and will continue to be that private health care decisions stay between individuals and their physicians. These are private, personal decisions that have nothing to do with government interference. At the end of the day, what we should be focusing on are things that actually provide a high quality of life for Oklahomans. So access to high quality public education, employment that provides a livable wage, and access to health care. That's how we take care of Oklahomans.
Okay, for those who study Oklahoma history, you'll know that in our past, our governor at one time, Governor Murray, blockaded the Red River against Texans, which is always a really good idea. But the fact is that didn't work. Part of that bridge is on display down in southeast Oklahoma. This governor has decided that Oklahoma troops need to be on the border, but not the Texas-Oklahoma border, the Texas-Mexico border. A lot of Democrats are saying this is a stunt. Republicans are saying, no, the Biden administration is not doing what they should on the border. Help us understand.
This news that was recently shared earlier this week by the governor is not a surprise, but it absolutely is unfortunate. You know, reports have shown that at the end of Title 42, the influx of migrants has not actually been what folks have expected, even the Biden administration. At the end of the day, what the governor is doing now is pandering to partisan politics, using state resources, and quite frankly, lives, National Guard members to go down to the Mexico border, which no one has asked him to do. And so, yeah, we believe it's a stunt and it's unfortunate. And at the end of the day, you know, National Guard members are here to serve the state of Oklahoma.
Okay, so you've put on our nation's uniform and served. So your thoughts about National Guard members going to Mexico-Texas border?
Yeah, and Leader Munson's right. It is unfortunate. But what's unfortunate is the abject failure of the Biden administration to secure this country's borders. What we've seen is this administration has seen a massive influx in illegal immigrants crossing the border. And yes, there has been calls for National Guard members to come to the border. It's come from Governor Abbott, who's having to deal with this problem there in his home state. Governor Stitt and 11 other governors have agreed to send troops to help out Texas. And this is what happens when you have a federal government who refuses to do their jobs. The state has to step in and take up the slack.
Give us something to talk about next week. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/YourVoteCounts. Follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Mitchell Talks.